Many Flesh and Blood players ask the question, will Welcome to Wrath and Arcane Rising Unlimited be printed forever and ever and ever and ever and ever? No. No, it won't. When it will be stopped, I don't know. And I really want to beg the question now, at this era of time, that what is the reprint philosophy around Unlimited? I know it's for the players. We've heard this many times. I don't know if Legend Story Studios has specifically said it's for the players. They definitely have acknowledged that it's a much larger print run for people to acquire their products with in the first edition of the collectible. So I think all of us have assumed the unlimited thing is for the players. But really, guys, you think about this logically. Can you really print a booster box forever? Am I going to be 80 years old in my retirement home and I'm going to be like old ass Bronson and be like, hey, grandson, can you go down to the corner store and buy me a Welcome to Wrath booster box unlimited? Because I remember it from my days of yore. And here's a $85, Sonny. Go get it. And he's going to be like, Grandpa, that box is $500. Well, this is not nearly enough. Do you think that scenario is going to play out? And the answer is that is not going to play out that way. There's no way that these things can be printed forever. And ever since I started my channel, I've always wondered about supply of certain products, and unlimited was a big thing. And I even messaged Fab TCG on the Twitters, and I said, hey, how long are you going to print unlimited? What's the deal with this thing? And I did that early in 2020, or later on in Q4 2020, and they actually responded to me, and it was cool. And I don't know if they still respond to different people on the Twitters as fast because the community's grown so much. But back in the day, it was cool. Like they responded to me and they said, "Hey, Bronson, and they gave me a good response. It was something to where it's like, hey, we will print them until the market has had enough, until that they have the market, can get as much as they need, and we are going to evaluate it from there." So it really wasn't a line in the sand, and it was very ambiguous. And in my mind, Bronson's I go into depth with these things, and I think that they definitely have a plan. I think it's in the background, and there's a certain metric to where enough is enough. And that's the main question: is when is enough enough, and how much of this product is going to be printed, and how long are we gonna be printing this product? Because man, it is June 2021. Unlimited came out in October 2020. We're sitting at the 8-month mark for this product being released out in the wild, and it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder how much longer is this going to be printed, and what are their plans in the future? Because you can't just have all these cards be printed and then they stop after a year and say, hey, we're never going to print Welcome to Wrath ever again, and all these cards are set in stone and what have you. I don't think that that's a possibility. You have to have some sort of thing where you have reprint sets in the future, in my mind. And I know that if we're going to compare this to Magic the Gathering, and it's very good to do that because I think that there's a lot of references that draw upon this, right? For Magic you had the alpha sets, and then it went into Unlimited, right? Which is exactly what Flesh and Blood did. And then after Unlimited for Magic the Gathering, you had Revised, and Revised was just like an insanely higher amount of print run. And I think it's important to realize too that our community is extremely small. Even after all these market hypes and a lot more players coming into the game, I think that it's been slower than I honestly thought. I honestly thought when Star City Games came on, and after Channel Fireball and all these things, I thought the game was going to grow a lot. Maybe it's because people don't join as much of the message groups, the Facebooks, and the all this other stuff, the Reddits. But because I'm on Reddit most of the time, I'll tell you that much. And the group when I started, I think it was like around 1,500 people. Now it's like 5,400. So if you think about that jump from the beginning, right, to where when there was no market noise into now that there's market noise, it's only gone up like 4,000 people. And I know there's a lot more people in the background, but what I'm saying here is there's not that many people in my mind who've come into this game to make it really blow up. And I think in the future we are going to see that. We are going to see those message groups go to like, 10,000, 20, 50,000 people in the Reddit. And there's going to be a lot more talk, a lot more noise, a lot more discussion. And when you have that, you need more cards. And in the future, what are they going to do in 3 years? Like if Welcome to Wrath goes out of print, unlimited, how are they going to get people the cards they need if it's not if it's already been out of print 2 years and nobody's really selling their bulk as much online? I mean, maybe there's just enough out there for everyone, and they printed it, and like people have mass box openings, and they just pull a ton of bulk, and they just have it sitting in their the side of the room. But then once there's more demand and there's an open market to these things, are we going to see them like selling more cards? Like the big question is there already enough product out there currently, or how much is enough in the market to where you don't need stuff in the future? But I still think you need sets in the future that reprint good cards from the previous sets. And what kind of method do you use? Because you can't use unlimited. Like, are they going to have Welcome to Wrath Unlimited 2025? Welcome to Wrath Unlimited, like, 2030? Is this going to be like a Disney movie type shit where they put it in the vault for 8 years and then they take it out, a couple more years? It's just going to be odd. And what's that going to do with the printing of the, what's that going to do to the collectability of the choice cards? Like, you have the legendaries and fables. I mean, if you print this thing to the end of time, you're not gonna even have the cards were gonna lose value. They're not gonna be worth as much. And even in unlimited, like I don't want to see like a legendary card ever go to like $20. That's gonna be depressing, man. Because then the booster box isn't worth it. It's not worth it to buy a booster box at all. So it's just something that is a big thing on the horizon. And I think in 5 years from now, 5 years from now, this video, people are going to listen to this and be like, oh, Bronson, obviously LSS did this and this and this. And here's how this whole reprint thing works. And here's how long unlimited sets are usually printed for. And yes or no, if there is an actual revised set in the future. But now I think it's a huge, huge thing that none of us know. We have no idea how they're going to handle this in the future. And it's we're running on 8 months of unlimited Welcome to Wrath and Arcane Rising out there in the market. And the whole question is, how long is it going to be printed? And what is the market going to do, once we figure out it's out of print? That is going to be the biggest thing. And in my mind, if you're releasing that information, you have to coincide it with the reprint set announcement. Say, hey, we're out of print Welcome to Wrath Unlimited and Arcane Rising Unlimited. We've done a good amount of waves. Here's how much we printed, and here's the new. But don't worry, it's not like it's totally out of print. Because I think if you say, hey, it's totally out of print, those cards will never be printed ever again. It solidifies collectability, and I think that would be good on one side of the fence where, it makes people happy that, hey, I spent $100 on my booster box. I pulled all these cards. At the time, the cards might have been worth $60 if you got, bad pulls. If you didn't pull a legendary out of a Welcome to Wrath Unlimited booster box, maybe you got like, 2 Majestics and 6 super rares, and it didn't pay for the box. It was like $50 to $60. But then once the out of print is announced, those cards are going to be, worth the amount of the box, and maybe they're going to do better long term. And when you have sets that aren't rotating, there's no rotation in Flesh and Blood, which is amazing. I mean, you can take Welcome to Wrath and use it till the end of time for gameplay, which is beautiful. So are they going to say in the future, yes, Welcome to Wrath Unlimited is out of print. We're not going to print those cards ever again, but you don't need those games. You don't need those cards to play. You can just play with Kingdoms or play with any other set after Kingdoms, or anything. You have a much you have other substitute cards that you can use in future sets versus the older ones. Or are they going to take choice cards from previous sets that are spiking in the market, Like let's say, two that are gonna definitely be picked are Pummel and Razor Reflex. I mean, those two cards are really, really huge. I mean, especially Pummel. I mean, it's such a good card. Are they gonna take that and then just change up the artwork in a new set, and then just say, hey, this is Pummel version in this new set? I don't know. Yeah, Oceans River or something. I don't know. But my point is, there's many different options that they could choose. Option A, they just totally cut it off and say, hey, this is a reserve list situation where all these cards that we printed in Unlimited are done. We're never printing them again. And it's really just a done thing. We printed a shitload of Unlimited. You've had 8 months to decide if you wanted to buy our product or not. You snooze, you lose. If you weren't in the game, I'm sorry, but that's done, and we need to maintain the collectability of the game. Option two, they choose to make Unlimited available every like 10 years or something, and they change the date at the bottom. And they say, hey, this is Welcome to Wrath Unlimited 2030. Get it while it's hot. And then option three, are they going to say, hey, this is out of print, but don't you worry, all the sets from Welcome to Wrath to Monarch are going to be reprinted in one solid box that's kind of like an era box. And that box is going to have like all the card pool. So you can pull any card from Welcome to Wrath through Monarch. And are they going to make that box like a revised set where it's a if you ever looked at Magic the Gathering, like Chronicles is really like this, and they had like this French and Italian version of Chronicles, I believe. I forgot what it's called offhand. It's killing me. But essentially, you have this kind of like Omni set where it's a box that just has a ton of shit. I really like that idea, honestly, because then that set really would be like, hey, like this is a revised version. You can pull anything. And honestly, what would be cool is is if you draft or if you play limited format for like all the sets combined, it would be like completely crazy. But you have that option too. So those are the three types of options that I see. And please let me know if you have any thoughts, because I think that this is one of the most under talked about and underappreciated subject matter of this time period in 2021. Nobody's really talking about Unlimited and the whole like elephant in the room of what the fuck is gonna happen when this stuff has to go out of print. Because like I'm telling you, I'm not going to be 80 years old and they're going to still print Welcome to Wrath Unlimited with the 2020 date, copyright date on the bottom. It's just not happening. And I'm going to be straight up, towards the end of this video. I am going to keep a couple cases. I'm looking into like buying cases of Welcome to Wrath Unlimited because, it's good price. And I like the box. And I don't know what it's going to do long term, but even no matter what, I tell you what, man, I love opening Flesh and Blood, and it's really cheap, and I don't know what's going to happen long term, and I definitely see it as an option to buy, because if there is certain news that comes out that says to the contrary of like, hey, this is out of print forever, or if something happens in the future, I definitely think it could become a thing. It could be something that can be collected. Now, is it something that's going to be like first edition? No. I don't think it's ever going to rival first edition. First edition is king. And, the alpha boxes, especially Welcome to Wrath, that's going to be king forever. But I think, at this period of time, for my budget, I think having a couple cases of Welcome to Wrath Unlimited is not too bad of a deal, you know? And I just think I honestly like that set the most. It's my favorite set, and I just don't know what's going to happen in the future to where they have to do two things. They have to make the cards available to everyone and make sure that the secondary market doesn't go crazy over this thing of out of print. But they do have to make these cards out of print. You cannot make this booster box till the end of time. I don't know how they do that, but yeah, that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Really interesting topic. I really question it so many times through my day, through the last couple weeks. Honestly, just thinking like, what are they gonna do? What kind of plans do they have in the background? Because it's a really thin rope that you have to cross. You have to make sure that people are able to play your freaking game. People are able to have access to the cards, but you also don't want to just print it to the ground to where these cards just lose all value and the box isn't worth opening. So having that sense of of doing that is going to be a very very interesting thing, especially with like I want to just throw some card names around, like the Arknight Skullcap from Arcane Rising. What are you going to do when Arcane Rising booster boxes are no longer printed? Are there going to be a set number of Arcanite Skullcaps, and like that's the total number in the world? I mean, are they going to make other equipment in the future that mimics it, that does a very similar thing to it, but it has a little extra of effect? Because I mean, that card is insane. You essentially start with 3 extra health, and that's like basically 2 extra health than any other headpiece in the game. Because all the other headpieces have 1 defense. Arknight Skullcap can block for 2 and then block for 1, so you can essentially block for 3, which is health, is what I'm saying. So what's going to happen when these boxes are out of print and these good cards? Command and Conquer is another example. Are they just going to make other cards that's easily replaceable? And I could definitely see that. Like, I mean, even with the Command and Conquer, you have all these other cards that attack for 6, like Exude Confidence and Nourishing Emptiness. You have these 6 attack crazy cards that have this extra effect. I mean, if there's going to be one of those in every box of the new sets, going forward, where they try to print some like chase card for the Majestic generic, then it's okay. You can substitute a Command and Conquer for this card. I could definitely see that happening. But even still, if you want to play Command and Conquer, if it's out of print, it's gonna be very interesting what happens to the market prices over that, and where everything really lands. And yeah, and this is more of future speculation and future just trying to think what's gonna happen. And I think this is important because it's so fucking easy to think like at any time period right now, like, oh, like, you know all this information I have at my fingertips about the secondary market, like it's always been like this, but that's not the truth. The secondary market for Flesh and Blood did not exist really until after, August 2020. This game was very, very low key before August 2020, especially at the end when crew was coming. These prices were nowhere near anything. It was a very, easy game to pick up singles for, and the prices on everything were very, very reasonable. Heart of Fandale Cold Foil Alpha was like $500, and I think everyone forgets that now. Everyone forgets that that whole era ever existed, and we only know crazy prices for things in the secondary market, and everything's always been this way, but it's not true. And especially with this unlimited thing, it's in the future, 2 to 5 years, we're going to know the outcome and how this whole shit plays out. We're going to know what the effects of what their decisions happen on the unlimited printing, and when they decide to shut off the faucet. But until that happens, all we can do is sit in our normal rooms and be normal people and think with our normal brain, and, and try to piece it all together, man, because this is a really important thing, and especially with everything else going on in the game, this has really been swept under the rug, and I can't wait until I see what's gonna play out, man. Because like I said, I'm not gonna be fucking 80 years old and buying a 2020 version of Welcome to Wrath Unlimited. It's just it's not happening. And if I do, it's not like it's gonna be printed in like the year 2060 or whatever. The box from 2020 is gonna be 20, around this era now. You're not gonna reprint Welcome to Wrath in the year 2060 or something. That, do you feel me? I just don't see that happening, and it really does beg the question to me when I think about that whole scenario play out, is when are they going to make it out of print? And once they make it out of print, what are they going to do with reprinting the cards that are in the set to make it accessible for the people in the future? Thanks for watching.